What if I told you that most people who drink beet juice are actually wasting a huge part of its power? Not because beet juice doesn't work, but because they're missing a few simple additions that completely change how it behaves inside your body. And here's the surprising part. These additions aren't rare or expensive. They're sitting in most kitchens right now. So the real question is, are you getting the full benefit from every glass you drink? There's a deep red juice that has quietly become one of the most studied natural beverages in cardiovascular science. Elite athletes drink it before competition to enhance performance. Researchers at some of the most prestigious universities in the world have published study after study confirming its effects, and cardiologists are increasingly recommending it to patients who want to support their circulatory health naturally. That juice is beet juice, and its ability to increase blood flow is not a matter of opinion or tradition. It is measurable, reproducible, and scientifically documented. But here's what almost nobody tells you. As powerful as beet juice is on its own, most people are leaving an enormous amount of its potential on the table. Why does this happen? And what simple change can dramatically increase its effect? There are specific ingredients that, when added to beet juice, amplify its effects on blood flow so dramatically that researchers describe the interaction as synergistic rather than merely additive. That means the combined effect is not just stronger, it's multiplied. And the third ingredient I'm going to share has a mechanism that even many health professionals overlook. Today, I'm going to explain exactly how beet juice works inside your blood vessels, why it's so effective, and then reveal 3 specific ingredients that can dramatically amplify its effects. I've organized them from the most well-known to the most surprising, and trust me, you'll want to stay until the third one. Let's start with the science of beet juice itself, because without understanding this, you won't fully appreciate why these additions make such a difference. Beets are extraordinarily rich in dietary nitrates. When you drink beet juice, these nitrates enter your digestive system and are absorbed into your bloodstream. But here's where it gets interesting. The nitrates themselves don't directly affect your blood vessels. They need to go through a conversion process. And surprisingly, the first step doesn't happen in your stomach. It happens in your mouth. Bacteria on your tongue convert nitrates into nitrites. Now here's a question most people never think about. What happens if this step doesn't occur efficiently? You lose a major part of the benefit. That's how critical this stage is. After swallowing, these nitrites enter your stomach, where they are converted into nitric oxide. Additional conversion happens in your blood and vessel walls. And this molecule, nitric oxide, is the key player. Nitric oxide is essentially the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax. When that signal is strong, vessels widen, resistance drops, and circulation improves throughout your entire body. Every organ benefits, every tissue benefits. But what controls how strong that signal becomes? That's where things get even more interesting. Beet juice works through a pathway that does not rely on your body's natural nitric oxide production system. And why does that matter? Because as you age, your natural system becomes less efficient. So the question becomes, how do you support both systems at the same time? Clinical studies have shown that beet juice can lower blood pressure, improve endurance, and enhance circulation within just a few hours. But again, here's the key question. What if you could amplify all of these effects without increasing the dose? This is where the first ingredient comes in, fresh lemon juice. Now, why lemon? It's not just about taste, it's about chemistry. Remember the step where nitrites convert into nitric oxide in the stomach? That process depends heavily on acidity. The more acidic the environment, the more efficient the conversion. So what happens if your stomach environment isn't acidic enough? You lose efficiency, you lose nitric oxide, you lose results. Lemon juice increases acidity, creating optimal conditions for that conversion. But that's not all. It also provides vitamin C, which directly helps drive the conversion process forward. So now you're not just relying on your body, you're actively enhancing the reaction. But here's something to think about. What if your blood vessels open, but your blood itself doesn't flow efficiently? That brings us to the second ingredient, raw ginger. Beet juice helps widen blood vessels, but blood flow also depends on how thick or fluid your blood is. If blood is too thick, circulation is still limited. Ginger helps reduce excessive platelet aggregation, improving blood fluidity, so now you have wider vessels and smoother flow inside them. Ginger also reduces inflammation in blood vessels and may even support the oral bacteria responsible for the first step in nitrate conversion, which raises an interesting point. Could improving your oral environment actually enhance beet juice effectiveness? Emerging research suggests yes. And now, the third ingredient. This is where things become truly fascinating. Raw cacao powder. Not processed cocoa, but raw cacao. Here's why this matters. Beet juice increases nitric oxide, which triggers a signal inside your cells that tells blood vessels to relax. But that signal doesn't last forever. It's constantly being broken down. So what happens if you slow down that breakdown? You amplify the signal. Cacao contains compounds that help reduce how quickly that signal is destroyed. So now, instead of a short, weak effect, you get a stronger, longer-lasting one. At the same time, cacao also supports your body's natural nitric oxide production. So now you have two sources of nitric oxide working together, one from beet juice, one from your body, and the signal lasts longer. This is what researchers call a synergistic effect, not just addition, multiplication. Now imagine this combination. Beet juice generates nitric oxide, lemon maximizes its conversion, ginger improves blood flow quality, and cacao strengthens and prolongs the signal. Every step of the process is being supported. There is no overlap, only amplification. For preparation, use about 200 milliliters of beet juice, the juice of 1 fresh lemon, 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh ginger, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw cacao powder. Blend well and consume daily. You can take it in the morning for daytime circulation or in the evening for overnight support. Try both and see what works best for you. But before you do, there's one small detail most people overlook. Avoid using antibacterial mouthwash around the time you drink beet juice, because if you eliminate the bacteria on your tongue, you interfere with the very first step of the entire process. And without that step, everything else becomes less effective. So now the question is, are you going to keep drinking beet juice the same way, or start using it at its full potential? This is Dr. Sofia, and if you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs better circulation.